and a warm welcome to It's My Life, the program that brings you face to face with country's top politicians. This week we are in the city of lakes in Punjab, that's Bathinda. Our guest is a prominent face of the Shiromani Akali Dal who comes from an influential family. Her party holds sway over the Sikh bodies across the country. Let's meet Union Minister for Food Processing, Harsimrat Kaur Badal this time. Harsimrat Kaur Badal, Union Cabinet Minister of Food Processing and Lok Sabha MP from Bathinda. Born on 25th July 1966 to Satyajit and Sukhmanjus Majithias in Delhi, Harsimrat began her political career in 2009. Her first speech on the political front was on the survivors of the 1984 riots which kicked with the people in Punjab. Harsimrat is a diploma in textile designing. Daughter-in-law of Punjab Chief Minister Prakash Singh Badal and wife of Deputy CM of Punjab Sukhbir Singh Badal, Harsimrat has two daughters and one son. It's My Life team waits at the Bathinda Air Base to welcome Harsimrat Kaur Badal. She arrives on a 2-day trip of her constituency. Welcome Harsimrat ji on It's My Life in Bathinda.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Our first stop, the inauguration of a community centre. Followed by another inauguration of a water tank, which is something the residents of this Bathinda locality have been looking forward to. Not many parks in Bathinda, hence Harsimrat has focused her attention on developing such open spaces. We are at an inauguration ceremony of a park. After a brief stopover, time now to enjoy the real beauty of Punjab, where you hear Harsimrat talk about everything but not politics. Harsimrat, in between your busy schedule which you are following right from morning till late evening, what kind of memories really come to you when you come in the middle of the mustard field?
It's too good to be true. It's like a sight for sore eyes which takes away all your tiredness. Actually, these mustard fields are really beautiful. If you come in the month of February, then it's like just lush. There's lush green on this side, which is all the wheat, and then there's the mustard, which is bright yellow. So it's like just awesome, beautiful.
But tell me one thing, very honestly.
I often get my parliamentarians friends saying that we want to go and see those sites of Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. I know which movies.
I was actually about to come to you on that. Punjab has been portrayed so well in that film, you know, when you talk about Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge.
That's it,
The sprawling mustard fields. But is that the real image, or it's something more than that, according to you?
I don't think the essence of Punjab has truly been explored. Yes, you've seen the beauty that, you know, the fields and all have to offer.
Yeah.
But the real beauty is that village life. Actually,
Okay.
I was a born and bred Delhiite. Total city slicker. Told my mother never wanted to get married anywhere in Punjab because I'm sure we'll settle down in a village. But when these last 5 years threw me into politics, which was also something I had never planned, and I spent 5 years every month 15 days just roaming around in the villages, 900 of them in my constituency again and again.
But did it come to you as a culture shock when you were roaming in these fields? Not at all.
Surprising, I took to it like a fish to water.
You know, your life is actually shunting between Delhi and Bhatinda. I'm sure it's going to be, it must be very
Well, now
difficult.
it's like shunting across the country because
Okay,
now I'm
yeah,
a minister,
because of
so I have to go look at all my projects everywhere as well as visit farmers in other states.
Right.
So suddenly I'm discovering the rest of India, and it will be interesting to see in 5 years because it's interesting to compare farmers, to compare crops, to compare landscapes,
Right.
and some have progressed. I'm not getting to know them as well as I've got to know the village people.
But I'm sure when you travel to other states, you would be feeling proud of your sarso ka saag and makke di roti, no?
No, there's no two ways. I'm a proud Punjabi and really proud of my state and what it's done. It's actually national security of the largest population practically in the world, second largest, dependent on this state.
So as a true Punjabi, are you really going to encourage Bollywood, you know, to capture more of Punjab?
I think they should, but I think Bollywood just goes for the scenic beauty. Otherwise, the sets and all they create to make it look like a village.
Right.
It's actually the Punjabi movies which needs to come and capture more of.
So
the
are you
Punjabi
encouraging the Punjabi movie makers to come down?
I don't have much time for that, but I would love to. I'm actually trying to tell my husband to make a few religious stories because I think somewhere along the line in the last few years, our moral science classes have totally gone out of our curriculums, you know.
right.
And that needs to come back by bringing in the stories of our great patriots, our great gurus, and various stories in different religions.
But Harsimranji, had it not been politics, what would you have actually done?
I was supposed to be a social worker. In fact, that's what in 2008 I got into this actively into social work.
And that
I
brought
think
you into politics?
No, that pushed me into politics because suddenly people saw that, oh, she's doing such good work and that we want her. So I think.
So were you pushed by your family, or you just...
No, it was the public totally. In our family, women folk don't get into politics. In the history of the Badal families, they don't. So
And you're the first woman to get into
yeah,
politics?
because the public started demanding that we want her as the candidate from here because ex-chief minister's son, he had put him up over here. So suddenly they started demanding we want from the CM's family. And our family was very small. My husband and my father-in-law were already in politics. I just left my mom-in-law and me. So since I was more visible because of the social work and my opponent was a youngster like me, so suddenly it was we want her. So it was like a clash of two titans of two political
But I'm sure
CMs.
the journey for a woman in politics, and especially in a Sikh society, when you, especially the Badal family, are saying none of the women have ever participated in politics. How would you really rate your journey so far as a woman? Is it really difficult? Not specifically talking about Badal family, but in the Sikh society.
There's no doubt that women in our country and even in Punjab, with the environment being the way it is, one of the biggest things that women ask me is that get us a girls' school in our village. We don't want to send them even to the next village. You know how the mahal is, and I understand that's the way things are. And I always thought that, you know, we in the city, our parents are a lot more mod and more letting the women folk and girls go out and do things. But I must say that in spite of being a born and bred Delhiite, my father is much more orthodox than what my father-in-law, who's been born and bred in Badal village, he encouraged us from day one, and me too also, you know, even when I took up my social work. And after I got into politics, I cannot remember a single thing that my husband or my father-in-law said that you're a woman, don't do this.
But when you move around in the Sikh society, obviously you have to follow a particular attire, like the Punjabi suit. You're always wearing a Punjabi suit and covering your head. How convenient is it really, to be very honest?
It was highly unconvenient. I used to live in my jeans, so it was quite a transition.
So you miss the Western outfits, huh?
Absolutely, I do, and especially covering my head because my kids tell me, don't you dare come to our school looking like that. Our friends will tease us to So you know, it's subtly a dichotomy. Like sometimes I feel like a hypocrite, but then when I became an MP, I had to decide, because a lot of women would cover their head here, go there and uncover it.
Okay.
So I had to make that choice, that do I want to maintain what I am, or will I always be this split personality? So I said no. Whether I, you know, they'd say how are
So
you?
you're covering your head and you're in this attire because of a political compulsion, no?
Yeah, not just a political compulsion, but then what I understand in our culture here in Punjab, if you go to the villages or any of my programs, you'll see all the women folk have their
can
head
relate
covered,
with you
because
better probably.
that's a sign of respect for your elders.
Okay.
So I came in as a daughter-in-law of the Badal family and one of the young daughter-in-laws. So as a sign of respect to all my seniors, it would have been the right thing to do.
Tell me one thing very honestly, not many people are hearing, I know. Of course the audience is going to watch. How often do you really miss your jeans? Or when you sneak away and, you know, probably get into your pair of jeans?
No, I can't say that. I can't tell you that. But I manage.
You manage it. Many of my friends who are Sikhs, you know, I mean, especially the women folk, sometimes they say, you know, we don't like the men with the turban, you know. So have you ever spoken like that? Maybe in your childhood you've never wanted to have men in your life who were wearing
No,
turbans.
I don't think so, but
You
I think I always knew that I would want men with turban around me, because I find their personality very impressive.
Okay.
And you'll suddenly find a guy who's cut his hair and removed his turban, his personality is totally gone. And sometimes you'll find the guys who try keeping them on a turban, suddenly you look at them try, because there's a kind of regal personality that the Sikhs have. And as I've grown older and learned more about my religion, I've actually become more and more proud. You know, it's like a religious person once told me that who stands out in a crowd, which is a fact. You see a sea of humanity, you'll spot the turban. So he says, you want to be spotted in the sea of humanity, or you want to be like one of them? And I think that says it all.
That's really wonderful. That's really wonderful.
एक निक्का जा ब्रेक लेके छेती हाजिर होने आ.
I'm sure I won't be able to say that. So let's take a break at this point in time and return with lots more with Harsimrat ji on the other side.
राज्यसभा टेलीविजन की खास श्रृंखला महामहिम राज्यपाल में आपका स्वागत है।
स्वैच्छिक क्षेत्र है, ये लोकतंत्र का 5वां स्तंभ है। लोकतंत्र को बनाने में, लोकतंत्र को संवर्धित करने में, लोकतंत्र को सुधारते रहने में ये बहुत बड़ा काम है।
महामहिम राज्यपाल में इस बार गोवा की राज्यपाल मृदुला सिन्हा से मुलाकात सिर्फ राज्यसभा टेलीविजन पर।
Harsimrat, the Union Minister herself and being wife of a Deputy Chief Minister, hardly gets time for her family. Most of the time, the power couple's shunting between Delhi and Punjab. Let's listen to what Harsimrat's husband has to share about her life.
Welcome back. You're watching It's My Life, and joining me now is Deputy Chief Minister of Punjab, Mr. Sukhbir Singh Badal, who's also Harsimrat Kaur's better half. So welcome you on this program, and this entire program is about exploring the other side of the political personality. And to begin with you, I would like to ask you that how much time are you really able to spend together,
maybe in terms of family moments or maybe going out for a movie? How much time are you really able to
I think
spend
I just
together?
spend Saturday and Sunday in Delhi.
Okay.
Monday I'm back to Punjab. Every Friday night I come. Saturday, Sunday spend with the family, and mostly every Saturday evening go for a movie.
Okay. But like generally, you know, there's a grouse. The political families say that you're not able to spend time together, but you don't have that complaint ever that you're not able to spend your time, or your wife has never been grumbling that you
No,
haven't spent
actually
time
she
together.
had been grumbling. Once she's got into politics, now she's not grumbling anymore.
But you miss those moments when a wife cooks for her husband the favorite dishes.
My wife never cooks at all.
So any particular dish which she has cooked and you can remember, oh, she cooked it well and you had it?
I don't remember. She never cooked in her life.
Okay. But don't tell me, sir, since the time of her marriage she's never cooked anything
Not
in
in
the house?
once. Not in once.
She's not even
I
done-
always kept on telling her, at least cook one dish. She hasn't done that.
Okay. So she isn't fond of cooking, or she doesn't get the time to cook?
I don't think so. She's fond of cooking.
What about things like, you know, I'm going to ask you certain things, you know, about Harsimrat, which she has told me, and I'm going to ask you on that. Like, for example, she says, you know, she misses wearing those Western dresses, and it's like it has to be that she has to be in a salwar kameez. You also miss those moments where you saw her in a western dress or a western attire?
I think she looks better in an Indian dress.
Okay,
And that's typical. I have always been telling her, wear Punjabi suits.
okay,
With that, I know I like women in Punjabi suits.
okay. But what is that one quality which you really like about Harsimrat?
I think she's very decisive
Okay,
and she's very clear in what she wants.
okay.
And she's a strong person. You know, she's ready to face any obstacle or anything. She's not a person to shy down. I think that's very important.
But who criticizes more, you or she?
Criticizes whom?
Criticizes as in, you know, picking on something and saying that probably this is wrong.
I think it's part of marriage life. Everyone, I think same stories in everyone's life.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for coming on It's My Life. Harsimrat runs an NGO called Nanhi Chha, which tackles issues like female feticide and also works extensively for women empowerment. Let's find out what it's all about.
This NGO Nanhi Chhav has become a mission in her life, helping the women folk develop their skills and making them self-sufficient. Here at this event, she distributes sewing machines and along with it saplings to help the environment.
What is the biggest challenge for Bhatinda at the moment?
I think Bathinda, like every other city, people are wanting development. So in the last 5 years, a lot of development has been done. But as you know, as the population increases, the boundaries of the colonies keep increasing as well. There's always new areas coming up which are looking for sewer and water supply and streets and lights and all this. So the development doesn't ever stop.
But Harsimrat, a very big issue is that of the health, especially the cancer, the way it's spreading, and there are villages which have just been absorbed by cancer. What are you actually doing, you know, to treat to deal with this problem?
There's no doubt that being an agrarian state and farmers with a high use of pesticide to get better yields in their crops, this pesticide is not only affecting our soil, our water, but also the health of the people. So yes, there is a very high incidence of cancer over here, but we're trying to educate the people to use safe methods of cropping. At the same time, we brought in a lot of health infrastructure, like a Max hospital has come up in Bathinda, which wasn't here earlier.
Okay.
Her entire focus now is to make Bhatinda the biggest food processing unit of the country and therefore has just inaugurated an international food park.
Harsimrat is popularly known in her constituency as B Baji, and people know that she'll be there for them whenever they require. She's just gone inside to meet one of the families of the martyrs killed in J&K firing recently.
Harsimrat ji, talking about Punjab, I mean, Punjab has been known for its farmers, the growth in the life of the farmers, the way farming has been growing. What is the next level to which you really want to take Punjab now? You have a government in the state and now you're a minister yourself at the centre. What is the next level you're wanting to take Punjab to?
See, all over the country, farming does not bring the kind of returns that it used to. And unfortunately, like the input costs of everything is decided in the center, not by a farmer, but by a political leader. The diesel, the pesticide, the seeds, the urea, every price is decided. And then the output is also, the MSP is also decided by the center. And I really don't think that a lot of the people sitting there, especially the bureaucracy which does the calculations as to what the MSP should be, have ever gone and worked in a field. If you go to my neighboring state, we're bordering with Rajasthan, where the land is not very fertile, you can probably take it on, take it on rent for peanuts. And you come here and the cheapest you'll get it is 40,000 rupees per acre. So when those inputs and the land rent goes in, obviously there's going to be a major difference of the wheat or the rice grown there and grown here.
But when you're a minister at the centre, you said that obviously the bureaucracy has not worked on the field.
Yeah.
So you being in the centre now, are you thinking of changing the mindset of the bureaucracy? Probably in your ministry.
I
the
think
people who
you
are
can't
working.
change the mindset of the bureaucracy. That's tougher. I think the easier option would be that we all as politicians who roam around in the fields know the reality. So we need to work towards, implementing the Swaminathan committee report, which is to say they should get 50% over and above their cost price, and that takes in cost price of different states being different. But more importantly than that, I think today no farmer's son is voluntarily getting into farming, especially not in Punjab. They want to do something else because it doesn't bring the kind
That's
of
a very
result.
big dampening factor.
Absolutely. So what the need of today is that the farmer should be able to value add to his crop. Okay, sell his wheat and rice, but out of that same thing, maybe he can make noodles or biscuit or something else which he can get an additional income with. So value adding for the farmer and giving him those opportunities, that environment, that knowledge, with which my dream, frankly, is that every farming home or family is like a self-help group where the father grows, the wife processes, and the kids go out and sell it. So
And your food processing ministry, I'm sure will
is
help.
absolutely on exactly what it can do. A huge input to work towards this.
Food processing ministry now is a separate ministry. Earlier it was associated with agriculture. Will it really make that kind of difference, or it'll help in living the vision which you are talking about? Probably
The food processing industry is actually a catalyst to address a whole lot of issues which are facing our country today. I mean, what do we look at? Inflation is bothering us. What are the causes of inflation? In food especially, I mean, today an average Indian home uses about 50% of his income in his wallet on food. And these high prices where governments fall because of onions becoming 80 rupees a kg, and every household budget goes haywire every time the prices rise. Is such a huge issue. The last government, besides the scams, price rise was another thing. One of the major reasons is wastage. What is the wastage due to? If the same wastage could be, instead of being wasted, like when the crop comes, there's a glut. They can't even get the right prices for it. Often you hear farmers have had to throw their crop onto the field, their fruits and vegetables. Now, if at that time it could be stored, processed, and processed food made available at a cheap rate, not a khas admi's food, but an aam admi's food. So availability would be more. So obviously, wastage would come down as well, and inflation would be under control.
talking now, I mean, Punjab will be going to polls months. 2017 is the elections due for Punjab. What are you really expecting out of that election?
I think it's still a long way off, and I look at elections that you put in your best. And I know my father-in-law, my husband, myself, and the entire cabinet, we've worked really hard. We've done our bit to make the difference. We'll go to the people with the work that we've done.
Given the current political setup, when people are talking, the political analysts are talking about how the electorate is getting polarized, and especially in the 2014 elections we saw there was heavy polarization in various states. Your state will go to polls, and would you want that kind of a polarized scenario when you go to the polls? And how are you really going to prevent that?
I think that would be disastrous, not just for Punjab, but for the country, because as you know, we're a border state with Pakistan. And this kind of polarization was tried by Mrs. Gandhi a couple of years ago, and the way what Punjab went through post that kind of polarization, and not that Punjab suffered, right down till the effects that it had in Delhi. So I think one of the biggest things that my father-in-law has worked really hard is to maintain not just peace and harmony, but this brotherhood between all the communities. And I would say that today that's our greatest strength of seeing the way it is in certain states.
In the current political setup with the new BJP government in power, what is the most striking quality about Narendra Modi probably you really admire about him?
I think his vision, if everybody in the cabinet talks about a vision of this level, he suddenly takes it there. And the standards that are set up, which are high, which is what Sukhbir's always taught me. He says if you dream big, you'll achieve somewhere close to it. But if you just dream average, he says, God knows whether you'll reach there on. That's what I find about Modi ji. One is his knowledge, and that knowledge has come from grassroots, right from his upbringing to his terms as chief minister. Every aspect.
People say that, in Narendra Modi ji's cabinet, the ministers are overworked. They're working from morning till evening and there is just no schedule. Is it true?
Yeah, we work very hard because the boss works hard and he demands the rest
Because
of us
earlier
work
people
hard.
said that the ministers were hardly working.
I know. No, not just the ministers. Even the bureaucracy is complaining because like in my ministry, the minister hadn't come to his office for 5 years.
Right.
So the officers were used to working at their own pace. And now they're telling me how they're getting BP and all because काम बहुत बढ़ गया. So I had another officer, secretary of another ministry come and visit me. He says, is this the same office I used to come for last 5 years? There's so much activity, I can't recognize it. I said, well, there wasn't a boss in last 5 years. Now they've got a full-time boss here. So
No, but is it true that Saturday, Sundays also, the Shastri Bhavans and the Yojana Bhavans are buzzing with activity?
I think in the big ministries probably.
Yeah.
Mine doesn't have that kind of workload as yet because it wasn't in focus. There was a lot of pending work. So I think
So you're still making the blueprint probably for the ministry.
I'm still trying to clear up the mess and get it on track.
But talking now, Punjab is...
But yes, I do come back by 10 o'clock at night on a working day.
I'm sure your kids must be complaining then.
They do complain. I hardly get to see them, but they were used to it because earlier I used to be 15 days of the month in my constituency, so I wasn't even coming home. So at least I come home.
Yeah.
So, but I don't get much time for them.
Okay. But who does the teaching and all? They study on their own or?
That's where I say the Almighty comes in. You'll be surprised. I don't think my third one, I don't think I've ever bathed him or fed him or did his homework or made him study for a test. Test though I did for any of the three. But that third one, by that time I was in active politics, so he
Completely
was
abandoned.
totally silent. But they all manage. My older one, she teaches the middle one helps out the younger one. So I think they've all kind of become a bit self-reliant.
Yeah. But you get time to go and attend the parent-teachers meeting and...
I try and make it a point and take out time.
So who
unless-
goes more often, Sukhbir ji or you?
No, Sukhbir doesn't go at all because they don't like, he's got Z plus security. So the paraphernalia which comes when they get very embarrassed. Plus, like my daughters told him many years ago, Dad, you can't come to a school dressed in your night suit because the traditional dress is kurta pajama. So you cannot come in your night suit. So please don't come if that's what you're wearing.
When in her constituency, she hardly takes a break for lunch or tea. On the road continuously, jotting notes in the car, doing her mala as she is deeply religious.